That you did. But I want to start with the mining matter. And I want to first start and take your views. Have you read the Fourth Estate latest expose on the matter of persons who have been granted exploration license in our forest reserves?
Yes, indeed, I have. And it couldn't be more scandalous than, it has been revealed by the Fourth Estate. It is, something that we have all, known or suspected all along. And it is something that we have made references to in the past in discussing this menace. And that is why I, from day one, have always held a view that this government has never, ever, ever been committed to the fight against the illegal mining. They have never been. And it has always been an opportunity for them to either engage in public relations, to grandstand, or to even take advantage of our goodwill and our good intentions, the media's good intentions, to commit budgets that they don't intend to use for the purpose, and in the end corrupt the money that they are supposed to use to fight the menace. So there has never been a commitment, and the Fourth Estate's expose is just an example of how this government blows hot and cold when it comes to this menace, and how truly they see Galamsey as a venture to make money for their party Hiasika.
And put that together with a statement that I'm sure your attention will have been drawn to by now from the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. Is it comprehensive enough in the wake of the calls for a ban?
Like I said, I mean, the minister sometimes behaves like he's either ignorant, forgive me, or he easily gets misled by, those who maybe give him his briefings. Otherwise, I cannot for the life of me understand why a young man who is supposed to be brilliant will, justify this kind of things that he does in the way that he does them, leaving him embarrassed, leaving him exposed. Unless, of course, maybe he also has some benefits. And so he doesn't mind sacrificing whatever integrity he may have. I don't think he has any left at this time, given how this whole Galamsey menace has gone. I don't think he has any integrity left anymore. So I don't take his words seriously, because he always speaks out of context. He always responds out of context. And, he sounds so remote from the reality. And I'm not surprised that once again he thinks that this expose by the Fourth Estate and all the other media organizations that are even showing us videos and pictures can easily be washed away through a public relations stunt. Because that's what he's doing, a public relations stunt. And not to deal with the issues. When you are making references to RECSEC, handling issues, why? Doesn't Konongo fall under a NUSEC and a RECSEC? Doesn't Konongo, doesn't it fall under a NUSEC and a RECSEC? Where was the MC? Where was the regional minister? And what happened to them? And this was not even in a forest reserve that you would think that it may have escaped them. This was by, a highway. A highway. And the municipal chief executive first response was that they thought the people were engaged in desilting exercise. Imagine. Desilting exercise. And yet, none of them have even been suspended. I mean, cautioned. None of them. No, not the MCA, not the regional minister have been cautioned by the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources or the President. None. It's business as usual.
But are we asking for the impossible in the wake of the many exposés we've seen where leading members of the party, perhaps acting on their own or acting on behalf of other much more powerful people, are said to be engaged in mining? In fact, Professor Frimpong Boateng finger people in the Jubilee House as being behind some of the small-scale mining that we are seeing. Are we asking for the impossible if you're asking these same people to fight themselves?
I think so. I think we're asking for the impossible. And maybe I think that is why they respond to us as if we don't have a brain of our own. Because they expect us to understand that there are those involved in it. And so why are we asking them to fight themselves? We're asking for the impossible. If we are asking them to, fight the menace. I've said it on a number of occasions and on many platforms. Today, when they say politicians are involved in Galamsey, Sana, be honest and be sincere. Which names come to mind first? When they talk of politicians involved in Galamsey, which are the names that come to your mind first? Is it not Wontumi? Is it not the woman organizer of the NPP? What's her name? Janfua.
Yeah.
Is it not, what's the name? Kusi. So, who are the politicians? We are just being pretentious when we say politicians. We know them. They're the NPP guys. They're involved in it. And then they tickle themselves and say, they didn't perform well in mining communities in 2020 because they were committed to the fight. Apu, they were not committed to any fight. They suffered in those mining areas because the people actually saw through their gimmicks. They suspended the operations, flushed people out of the juicy mining sites, and took over the mines for themselves and enjoying military protection and police protection. And so the people were angry with them for denying them the opportunity to mine while they were given protection for their own to mine. And so they punished them. So they have never been committed to the fight because it will mean fighting themselves. That's why you had that confrontation between Professor Frimpong Boateng and the gentleman who was in charge of the task force, where it was revealed that all of this was masterminded to make money for the party. And then after Frimpong Boateng himself also leaves office, he gives us more information about the people involved, even some of them at the Flagstaff House. So that is why I have been calling for a State of the Nation address on our environment. We need that. I've heard the labor unions call for state of emergency, especially in the mining areas. I think that it is jumping the gun. Let us first of all, I support that though, but I think it is jumping the gun. I support a decision to place a state of emergency in the areas where these operations are taking place. But I think that what must precede that should be a State of the Nation address on our environment by His Excellency the President. He owes us that duty of care. Our environment is ravaged. and our survival depends on its resuscitation. And the president cannot treat it as business as usual. We must demand that he addresses the nation on the state of our environment. Tell us, so that at least we will have our minds at ease about some of these things that we all see around us and know to be true. Who are those involved? They say your people are involved in the destruction. Let us know. Say something. I'm not very hopeful that you will say anything that will assuage or assure us of anything, but at least we will get a clearer picture of where we are and where we stand. We need a State of the Nation address on our environment. And perhaps in that address, based on the picture that he paints, we can now determine for ourselves how necessary it has become for a state of emergency to be declared, and what ingredients must play out after the declaration of the state of emergency. Because it's not just enough to declare state of emergency. We have seen, semblance of it in the past, where the military got involved in, and like I said, we ended up having some of them giving protection to the favorites of this government to continue to engage in mining. So what if we just declare a state of emergency and then it repeats itself again? So let us get a State of the Nation address on the environment. And then based on the picture that the president paints, we can then determine for ourselves and agree if a state of emergency should be declared and in which areas, and what should be happening under the state of emergency to rectify the destruction that has been caused by this government and its agents.
In the meantime, what is on the table is, you see, a comprehensive response from the labor unions, among many other stakeholders, demanding for a ban. That is what they're asking for, above all things. Do you agree that we need to ban this, everything, in all its forms, until we're able to figure out what to do?
Again, I agree with that call, but I think it must precede the State of the Nation address on the environment. I even think that if the president himself is minded to place a ban, he should do so in the State of the Nation address on the environment. Look, our survival depends on our environment. That's why they say when the last tree dies, the last man dies. And the threat that, COVID posed in the past to our very existence is not too different from the threat that this illegal menace is posing to our survival. It's not too different. It's about our life. And so I think that I agree that a state of emergency be placed. I agree that a ban must be once again placed on the illegal mining. But I think that all of these must precede a State of the Nation address on the environment by His Excellency the President. He must not ignore this. He must not treat this as business as usual. I am even of the view that in that State of the Nation address, if it is necessary, he can then declare the state of emergency and declare the ban. But I must commend the labor unions especially. I must commend the civil society organizations for their, activism as far as this matter is concerned. I have been so excited and overwhelmed by the show of solidarity, by the show of, if you like, repulsion. The anger that I am seeing from the labor unions, from the civil society organizations as far as this matter is concerned, is quite refreshing. And it gives one hope that all is not lost after all, and that we still have, citizens willing to stand up for what is right and to stand up out to be counted.
And do you still stand by your demand for the two ministers to be fired? You said lands and natural resources and environment ministers?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that should be a given. I mean, the best thing to have done would have been to remove the president and the vice president. Unfortunately, the constitutional limitations are such that it cannot be, contemplated now. But at least let us. I hope that His Excellency the President will, even if it is a pretentious one, show his disappointment by firing these two ministers of state, the one in charge of environment and the one in charge of land and natural resources, because they have both failed abysmally.
Before we come to your filing for the next term, because I just briefly on that, there's one other thing. I'm sure you have been to many TV programs when you have been confronted with the whole issue of what was famously described as the Australian visa scandal. And the question of who was to be held responsible, and the subsequent clearing of Pius Hajide. After all that, I'm sure you have watched that video of him then telling all of us, I did it. What do you make of that video, and what do you think should be happening? What are the key observations you are making from that video, and the fact that President Akufo-Addo has also been responding to the issue of whether or not he's a clearing agent?
When I heard Pius speaking, all I said to myself was, Nana Akufo-Addo indeed is the mother serpent of corruption. Shame on him. Absolutely. When I heard it, that was the thought that crossed my mind. Nana Akufo-Addo is indeed the mother serpent of corruption. Shame on you. Your own guy has just exposed you. Because, like you said, after this visa scandal broke, and the discussions were conducted on TV. After a while, he was cleared, as usual, by the clearing agent, who is, at his wit's end, trying to deny he's not one, even though, indeed, we all see that he is exactly what he's said to be, a clearing agent. And I met Pius a couple of times on set, and every time you raise it, he quickly went to hug the statement of the president, so-called clearing statement of the president, and said he has been cleared, investigated and cleared. And yet, you are never shown any investigative report to decipher for yourself if indeed he was cleared. And so to have himself convict himself by his own way in a desperate campaign that will end up in failure in a soldier man, it's a shame. It amounts to a disgrace to His Excellency the President. If he had any conscience, perhaps he would have stepped aside. But I don't think that he has any conscience left in him. I think that a lot of things have exposed the president for who he is. I mean, people said that he was an irresponsible person and did not take responsibility for anything in life before he became president. Those were the things people said about him. He was repackaged, rebranded. His presidency has shown that clearly that he is really, really an irresponsible person. He cannot, take responsibility for anything. People said he was arrogant. He was repackaged, rebranded, and sold to Ghanaians. And then it was, the arrogant part was described as propaganda. I mean, today we all have seen that it wasn't just propaganda. It was the truth that was being propagated. It was not a wicked or a lie told about him. I mean, how can a president tell a group of people that he has forgotten about their need for development because they did not vote a certain person to parliament? I mean, the arrogance, the cheek of it. He's commanding chiefs to stand up and greet him because he is, he who must be obeyed and he who must be bowed before. I mean, you listen to what he said about the free SHS. I mean, if you think I'm not doing well with the free SHS and have money, then take your child to a private school. I mean, the arrogance, the cheek of it. He is ruling with a palace mentality. And so no one dares question his rulership. So the presidency has just exposed Nana Akufo-Addo for who he is. And I mean, it's unfortunate that Ghanaians had to endure this level of degradation in our democracy.
A happy birthday, by the way, and congratulations on filing for a third term, right?
Yes, thank you very much, Senna. Thank you so much.
You're confident the Tamale North people will give you the opportunity again?
Oh, inshallah. I am very, very confident. And it is not just my expectation that they will give me a third opportunity to serve as Member of Parliament. It is actually my expectation that this time around, the margin of victory will surpass the previous margin. Yesterday, after the filing, with the support of my team and with the support of the constituents, we declared an operation 80% votes for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
Operation 80%?
Yes, for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. And that is what we are going to commit ourselves to delivering for the President in the Tamale North constituency. I am grateful to everyone, from all walks of life for the support, the encouragement, the prayers, and the inspiration. And I couldn't have come this far without, all of those and all of you people. And I remain heavily indebted to you all for what you continue to do for me. I get inspired, and I was telling a friend yesterday who asked what keeps me going, and I say, I have too many people who have so much confidence in me that I cannot afford to disappoint. And so if you didn't think that your confidence in me, your prayers, your support, your motivation meant anything to me, this is the assurance to you that when you stop believing in me, I will stop working hard, because then I will have nobody to impress. But if you continue to have that confidence in me, then I will have no option than to, justify your confidence in me. And that is my oxygen. So I thank you all, and I thank, the people of the Tamale North constituency for their love and support. Yesterday, I decided to walk, to file my nominations, and I was overwhelmed by the number of young people, old people, men and women who came out in their numbers, thousands and thousands of them, to walk with me, to file the nomination forms. It was a humbling experience, and it was a very humbling experience. And I keep reflecting on it, and I still don't know how I earned that grace of God.
Great. And here we're always proud of you, and a happy birthday to you today.
Thank you so much.
How old are you today?
So much. I'm very old today. I'm 45 today.
Oh, you're 45 today?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's fantastic.
Getting old.
Yeah. Now you are
getting old by the day.
You are out of the bracket of young people.
Charlie, I'm no longer a youth.
No. You are no longer in there. If we see you on any ballot that youth organizer, we will come and say, no, he's too old.
You'll be surprised. I have so many youth organizers in
that
my
are older
country
than you.
who are older than 60.
That's the interesting thing about politics locally. Anyway, in the meantime, Nancy, you wanted to say something?
Oh, he knows what I will say.
Nancy, you're being fair. I know what you say.
I was happy birthday.
It will be catered for.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
In the meantime, let's find time and talk about your 2 terms in Parliament before we get to the elections. Anytime you're in Accra, please let us know.
Sure, I'll do that.
Yeah, we'll have that conversation.
I'm most grateful.
Honorable Member of Parliament for Tamale North, our own brother here, Suhuyini, joining us on the line for a conversation on the Galamsey.